Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
'Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. There's still time. The AFTN Soccer Show, broadcasting on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. I'm Michael McCall.
And I'm Zachary Adamazhammer.
And we're back with another packed podcast. And it's one of our favourite times of the year, Zach.
Wait, what is that? April?
What happens almost on an annual basis? Happy CF Montreal looking for a new manager day.
Oh my, yeah. I was talking to Alex about that today. Poor Donadell.
It does feel like it's an annual occurrence that we should celebrate.
That's
yes,
so harsh.
We will get into that in the next part because so much football has been going on. I was commentating on 2 BCPL games in Langley on Friday night, Whitecaps on Saturday. You were at Vancouver FC on Sunday. I had a choice today. I was either going to go to WFC 2, which I wish I had, ended up watching it at home, or the AEW pay-per-view was at Rogers Arena, the first time the AEW's had a pay-per-view in Vancouver. Ticket prices initially were insane, but they've been dropping and dropping and dropping. So I checked this morning, and there was a really good seat for $121.
Oh, I'm surprised you didn't go.
For a 5-hour show, which considering World Cup ticket prices is like an absolute bargain. And I hemmed and I hawed, and then someone bought the ticket. But I've been quite exhausted. It's been another busy week. And I was like, do you know, I'm just going to have a nice chilling day at home. I'll watch the Whitecaps 2 game on TV, watch the Vancouver FC game on TV as well. Kind of wish I'd gone to both, really, because a lot happened in both the games. But I'm nice and rested for this late record that we are starting at 11:24 p.m.
Wow. Yeah, the recording part.
Yeah.
It's because we've been catching
up. An hour about other stuff.
Life.
As we always do.
Life, love, and other mysteries.
The stuff that would make the much better podcast.
It's true. I mean, if it was all about the ratings, we would record that part.
Yeah. Folk know we've got our extra podcasts and our gold and silver tier. This would be our special cryptocurrency tier, I think, if we had to release these podcasts. And you know how much I don't like cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, we'll talk World Cup in part 4, including some ticket stuff. Parts 1 and 2, we'll talk Whitecaps, MLS. Part 3, CPL Roundup. Before we get into all of that, busy week, I imagine, for you. You missed the Whitecaps game on Saturday because you had another event on. But aside from that, another busy week, I'm sure.
Yeah, very, very busy. Got to watch my daughter play some football, which was nice.
Yeah, she's only a sub I'm noticing, which is disappointing.
No. I mean, dude, she's grade 9, and she won only 2 grade 9s on the team, and she's never played football before, so she's doing great. No, we're happy. She played a little left back, I think, maybe a little right back. She played left midfield for the first time, I think, in her life.
Wow.
Well, I mean,
she never played football before joining this team?
Not in like an organized fashion, no.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no.
That's actually more impressive then. I just kept seeing your Instagram things and I was like, on the bench again.
Yeah, no, she's just enjoying it, and
no, that's good.
Yeah, and she chose it over basketball. She could have played.
Yeah, because I know she was playing basketball last year. You were out at the games.
Yeah, she made like the grade 9. She made it sort of like the grade 9 prep team and she would have been on the grade 10 team and like the junior team next year. But she said because of all the other commitments, she wanted to not do that. And then she's like, I want to try out for football. And I was just like, this might be disappointing. But she's risen to the occasion and she's growing and she's learning and she's having fun and she's getting exercise and she's, having those experience of what it's like to be a part of a team and go through. I mean, this year, I think they sort of like got like I think the equivalent of a promotion last year. And so they're trying to come to grips with a much higher level I think than
Oh,
they were last year. I don't know if they went from AA to AAA in school size or something like that, but I think
oh.
it's the season for the Bateman varsity girls has been last year like they dominated the league and then I think went out in the first or second or third round of the playoffs. And this year I don't know if there will be playoffs.
That's a genuine, awesomely nice story to start with. And
Yeah,
you must be so proud one of your children's good at football.
Kirk's not in the room right now to hear you say hear you
He's
say
good
it.
at football on the computer.
Well, that yeah, no, he actually I think you would enjoy having a kick, not maybe not having a kickabout, but commentating on a kickabout where he's playing in because yeah,
Oh, I'm happy to play against him and take him out with a 2-footed tackle. Teach him the makings of Scottish football.
he would probably be like, "What is happening right now?"
It's like, ref, I don't think he's allowed to use that language on the pitch.
Why is why is he tackling me? Well, yeah, whatever. Yeah,
Why is he tackling me when the ball's in the other end of
yeah,
the pitch?
exactly.
Cheeky little elbow.
Why is he 2 foot sliding from from 5 yards away?
Well, it's because I'm old and I'm slow, and he had the ball 2 minutes before when I started the challenge.
Oh
But
my!
yeah, we do have a lot of football to get into. We're going to kick things off the way that we have been for most of this year. It's our Canadian soccer, A to Z, and we are up to the letter P. So we're up to the letter P, and I get to go first this week, and I've got a few to kind of go over for this. And as we've said, we're not doing first names for this. I am allowing nicknames, and the only first name that I've allowed was Atiba because everyone knows him as Atiba. And I've gone for P for Fonzie, just because it's now become like folk don't really refer to him as Alphonse Davies. They refer to him as Fonzie. And I know you're not a big fan of the nickname.
It's just not. I don't know. I get it. It's cool. It's like whatever, but it's just yeah. I don't know. I always think it was Alfonso. But
Yeah, it's just that name. It just conjures up everything now. When you talk about Fonzie, you know exactly who you're talking about.
yeah,
The player that grew up in a refugee camp, made the move to Canada, made the move to the Whitecaps Academy, came through the under-16s, Whitecaps 2, signed with the Whitecaps, got the deal to Bayern Munich. He's now the most expensive valued Canadian player in the world at 45 million euros, according to Transfer Market. He's the captain of the national team. He was the figurehead in the World Cup bid for Canada, making
yeah.
making that speech as well. He's a guy that we had the pleasure to get to know a little bit when he was here. I always really appreciate the fact that Carol Robinson trusted me to talk to Fonzie, and I think out of all the media here, I probably talked to him most. We got his first ever interview that was on the show, and we spoke to him a number of times over the years as well. When he was leaving, we got to do a one-on-one with him and got to show him all the pictures and things that we did. So it's great to see him come through what he's done now. And I think if someone was to say to people in the world, name a Canadian men's national team player or name a Canadian footballer, Fonzie would be who they would say. And we could have gone for him for D. I kept it for P just because I do feel that the Fonzie moniker now is what people know him most by. So, yeah, that is my P.
I'll go for mine. I'll go with Evan Pellerud.
Oh,
Uh, Evan, of course, is a Norwegian uh, gentleman who kind of who coached and really kind of began, I think, the either the transformation of or kind of like the coalescing of the quality of our women's national team program. He's the coach who kind of took them kind of from feels like a group of talented players and made them a competitive team. And he might not have always played the most beautiful football, but he was trying to, I think, get them to a place where they would be able to achieve the most they could. And so a lot of it was there was a lot of directness and relying on the players' strength and height and pace and just overall kind of determination and that kind of stuff. But yeah, he was with the program from 1999 to 2008. He's coached.
long time.
He also coached TNT, the TNT women's side from 2008 to 2012, and then after that the Norwegian women's side as well, and then a bunch of Norwegian sides for both men and women, including Lillstrøm. Played at Vålerenga in some people will know that club. I think Sam was at Vålerenga. Yeah, Sam was at Vålerenga for a while, but no, really just someone who played a significant role in that era of women's football. And I remember like one of the things he was a part of course, was
Yes.
2003 World Cup that was in the States or whatever. And that's where they went on the run to the semifinals, right? I think placed fourth or whatever. I mean, he had obviously had a whole bunch of really talented young players, including players you mentioned already, like Christine Sinclair and Cara Lang. But that was really this era where that was really for me. That was the first time watching them where you thought, "Wow, like this team is like really good and could achieve great things." Now, it took a while for them to get to the heights of gold medal at the Olympics. I think Evan Power, yeah, played a significant role in kind of elevating that team and getting them into a place where they were a winning side and a side that had like confidence. And then it took a John Herman to come in and then again kind of take that to a different way and also take the football, I think, in a different way.
Well, honourable mentions. Some might say this is a dishonourable mention, but keeping with the women's national team thing, I think you've got to mention Bev Priestman. And I know she left the programme under a cloud, but she did coach Canada to her first ever Olympics gold in women's soccer in 2021 at the 2020 Olympics in Japan. That's always going to be weird to say that the 2020 Olympics were in 2021. But Olympic gold, and currently down in New Zealand with Wellington Phoenix's women's team. And yeah, the drone gate scandal will certainly have tarnished her reputation, but she's always got that fact that she won Canada's
I,
first gold for them.
yeah, yeah. Again, there's nothing you can take away from that. But I think, and if there's been public statements that I've missed, I apologize. But I think to me, the harder thing in all this, Michael, is in a public sense, anyways, the maybe lack of kind of owning up to her role as a leader in a program that had these issues, and saying, kind of holding her hand up and being like, yeah, I am responsible for the things that kind of happened under my watch. And I think that has played a role in the way she's viewed within that community, not
Oh
just
yeah,
amongst the fans, but I think even amongst some of the players or
yeah.
former players. And
It's like put your
it's
hand up,
unfortunate.
admit it. Folks got the receipts,
Yeah,
and then just move on.
yeah. I
And I
because it's I
think folks still would have not been happy,
yeah,
but you'd have had a bit more respect, I think.
totally. I think people can appreciate when others are forthright
Yes.
and are willing to apologize for either the things they did wrong or the errors they made or the misjudgments they had or whatever. If you say, yeah, I screwed this up, and
Yeah, mea culpa.
forgiveness is a powerful thing, but
Hmm.
most cases you kind of need to express your remorse or whatever,
Yeah.
recognize your role in the situation. And again, with a limited view and limited maybe even understanding in some of this, it doesn't feel like that's where Priestman left things. And
Yeah.
that's kind of unfortunate because you're right. It has marred her kind of reputation or her, how people view her, at least in this part of the world.
Two other quick honourable mentions from me. Don Petrie, born in Vancouver, he was the first ever coach of the Canadian men's national team. He led them in 1957 in the unsuccessful, sadly, qualifying campaign to try and get to the 1958 World Cup in Sweden. They finished second in the group behind Mexico. And yeah, he was down as being the first ever head coach of the national team. And a fun P for me to end.
Oh, I have one more too, but
Okay,
you go.
you do yours now, then I'll end with my fun one.
It's actually a double P. It's Paul Pesci Salido. Um,
Oh,
the young Scarborough, Ontario native was a striker who, in the whatever mid to late 90s, I know he played a lot longer than that, but who kind of was like the first choice striker for Canada. And
I
as soon
remember him at QPR.
Yeah, with QPR, he ended his career at St. Patrick's. Yeah, sorry, St. Patrick's. He was a young striker for Canada at the time. He ended up with 50 between 1992 and 2004. He ended up with 53 caps and scoring 10 goals. He's not the tallest person in the world with a bit of pace and some good finish. One of my early memories of him in kind of my more following football was the really awkward, very CONCACAF-y red card he received, I believe, in a World Cup qualifying match at Guard, which I was not at. I was watching on TSN in Ontario, where I think he like pulled the corner flag and it hit someone,
Oh,
or he something with the corner flag or something I think the flag or whatever. And I think it was a straight red, and he got sent off. And I think it was a qualifier, and it was just like it was not helpful because then obviously he had to miss a game or games. That was in the I think the attempt to qualify for France '98, and yeah, just he was sometimes let me put it this way, he was sometimes for me a shining light in kind of what was sort of a dark time for Canadian football.
my last P, and it's actually three P's in one.
Oh, there you
So
go.
this is going to test my mic's like pop filter that I've got here.
Ah,
This is the worst letter for me. So I'm going for punching above their weight.
oh, nice.
And in particular, I'm talking about Prince Edward Island. Now, not a lot of soccer players have come from PEI. It's an island with a population of 182,000, but they've won the Men's Amateur Challenge Trophy once in 2010 with a team called the Churchill Arms, which
Wow.
is just like, sounds like a pub team. But they've also won the Women's Jubilee Trophy, which is the amateur trophy for the women's game twice. Charlottetown FC won it in 2004 and 2010. So it's a PEI double in 2010 in the amateur game. Which when you think of like amateur football or college football, there's PEI University and they haven't really done well in the college game. It's crazy to think that you've got that island that's won trophies. But my hope is we're going to see more players develop in PEI in Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, because they're going to be having the Maritimes League One as was, which is now another P, the PSLC, and it will be the Maritimes Premier League. So it should be a more opportune time for players from PI to be at those higher levels and get that development. And maybe we'll see some more come through over the years.
There you go. I did, if I could, just for a second, I did look it up, and Pesh was listed on the Gold Cup roster, at least on Wikipedia. He was a part of the Gold Cup roster, which I totally forgot. Can I just read you though something? This is, I
Yeah.
think you'll get a kick out of this. This is at the 2000 Gold Cup, the United States roster. Okay,
Hmm.
guess who they were coached by?
No idea.
Someone we've mentioned on the show tonight, or at least briefly referenced, Bruce Arena.
Really?
Yeah, and then listen to the squad, and just think about all these players and their involvement in Canadian, or most of them, their involvement in American football, particularly as coaches. Number one, keeper Brad Friedel, Greg Vanney, Robin Fraser, C.J.
Wow.
Brown, Eddie Lewis, Johan Karofsky, Claudio Reyna, Eric Winalda, Jeff Agus, Kobe Jones, Chris Armas, Carlos Yamosa, sorry, Tony Miola, Ben Olsen, Brian McBride, Richie Williams, Ante Razov, and Eddie Pope.
Wow. So many coaches that you associate so much with MLS.
Yeah.
You kind of wonder, like current Canadian crop of players, how many of them will go into coaching?
Well,
There's
I know.
not a lot of Canadian players go into coaching at the top level.
Well, I know this is a totally tangential conversation
Mm.
as it is, but to take it one step further, I mean, this is with the advent of the Canadian Premier League. There was this part of the idea is yeah, we need to grow, increase opportunities for players to develop and become the best footballers they can be, a development pathway and all that kind of stuff. But it was also a byproduct of that, or a part of that, part and parcel with that, is this growing the whole Canadian football, industry, from club executives and technical staff and all these different things. And a big part of that is coaches. And it's been a topic of conversation I know we've had on the podcast in years past, a little bit about how limiting even that has been for some of the Canadians themselves, right? Because it's not like there's no former men's national team players who would love to be coaches in the CPL, but some of them either haven't been given the opportunity, or haven't maybe taken, or haven't made the most of, in terms of long term, of the opportunities they've been given. Obviously, from in that roster for the 2000 Gold Cup, Martin Nash is there. He's been an assistant coach. He's been a head coach. He's now back head coaching in the league. Nick Dasovich is a guy who is not an assistant coach in the league, has had some different coaching roles in Toronto, Detroit, different places. So that's just really, really interesting. Jim Brennan, of course, is another one that will stand out. The inaugural coach of the formerly named York Nine. So the league has always had a lot of foreign coaches. Right, whether it was
it's worth talking about this because we are talking about Canadian soccer A to Z, so yeah. It's a big thing.
But yeah, so that's one of the things I think we can grow in. But it also can't be simply, hey, you're a Canadian, or you're a former national team player. Here's an opportunity on a platter for you, and it obviously needs to be earned. But it is interesting that not as many as you might think have had the opportunity, because you had the Stephen Harts, who's obviously contributed to Canadian football, but is not Canadian. You have, Tommy, he's English, but again, he's spent so much of his life here. In Valor, Robin Gale, same thing. You had the outside hires of, 6'5", both started both their clubs with outside hires from, was it Denmark and Afshin from, Iran / the US. So there's been a lot of, maybe not as many opportunities, I think, as we were hoping. And obviously the league itself has not grown as much as it would have wanted. You mentioned, Media Pro and that whole, some of the things that were mentioned in those contract kind of things.
That's the thing. Unless there's more clubs, it's hard then for the Canadian players to get those opportunities. We've seen a lot of the players now move into front office roles.
Yeah, Benny Fisk.
Like Ben Fisk, yeah. Cavalry's been excellent at doing that.
Yeah. Mason Trafford.
Mason Trafford was one. Nick Ledgerwood.
Yeah.
A lot of them have done that. So, interesting topic. That brings us to the end of our Canadian A to Z. The letter P will be back next week with a tougher letter, the letter Q. So hope you are enjoying our Canadian Soccer A to Z. As always, if there's anyone, anything, any object, any place that we have missed out, let us know in all the usual places. But we're going to get talking Whitecaps now for the rest of this part. And say it, Zach, we are top the league. Say we are top the league. The Whitecaps climbed back to the summit that their badge depicts. Top of the West, top of the Supporters' Shield, the best team in MLS, which probably means they're going to be third in people's power rankings.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, I know we'll come to it later, but don't forget, you need to thank Phil Neville for this.
Oh, yes. Phil has taken the criticism well. I think we gave him a good pep talk last week, and he's taken that on board, and yes. My little joke about the power rankings there, I tend to ignore power rankings because for me,
as one should,
it's one of the most stupid things in football because surely the league table is your power rankings. So yeah, I mean, that's just my first old man's gripe of the show, power rankings. I'll be doing XG soon, I'm sure. But yeah, the Whitecaps, very comfortable 2-0 win over NYCFC in the end on Saturday afternoon at BC Place. Aside from maybe a 10 to 15 minute spell in the second half where NYC kind of had the Caps on the back foot a little bit, under a bit of pressure, they still didn't manage to get a shot on target. In the end, they only got 2 on target for the whole game. So it was a good defensive showing from the Whitecaps. 2 goals, could have had more, should have had more. I think for the Whitecaps, it was an open game, which they appreciated. They weren't having to kind of break down the low block.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw this when you were watching it back later. The Whitecaps were getting corners, and NYC were leaving 3 players at the halfway line.
Oh, wow.
They weren't bringing everyone back. So the Whitecaps had to have 3 players back as well. Now, it was interesting watching it because NYC also left 2 players on the edge of the D. So if they'd won the ball and got it to them, it would have been a break up the field and the Whitecaps could have been in trouble. So that was an interesting tactic that we haven't seen teams adopt. It didn't work. And we'll hear from the NYC head coach afterwards who admitted the Whitecaps were the better team. But just overall thoughts on the game to start with.
I think comfortable is a good way to put it. I mean, it was almost extremely uncomfortable at the beginning where there was a Yohei heart attack moment.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I said to Jesper in the postgame, I was like, there was a couple of dodgy moments defensively.
But yeah, no, I think it's a good way to put it. It was comfortable.
Controlled as well.
Controlled, yeah, controlled is another way to put it. I think one of the really good things about it was it was like a return for the Whitecaps to kind of normal service. Like what
yeah.
Like I guess more like meeting the expectations of the quality of the squad, the style they want to play, their ability to impose themselves. I know, like you said, it was open, but it still imposed themselves on their opponents and like just get the job done, right? Like just sort of like another way I thought it was like a workmanlike performance.
Yeah, the negative is they should have been out of sight. Like Brian White. He could have easily had a hat trick. He could have had a double hat trick with the amount of chances that he had. And like from the very first minute, he got a chance within the first minute. Jeevan Badwell sends a great cross in and White just can't direct it on to goal and it goes wide. And that was kind of the story of his afternoon until late on. Now, there was just one change to the starting lineup. Andres Cubas back sooner than people were expecting, which is rare with Whitecaps injuries, it has to be said.
Yeah.
And we'll talk a little bit about Cubas after we do the game. But it meant AZ Jackson dropped to the bench. And I don't know if he's carrying something because he didn't end up coming on. And Jeevan Badwell moved back out to the wing role. And over the course of the game, Jeevan played on the wing as an 8 and as a 6. That versatility is really working out for Jeevan. I really like him on the wing. Like the couple of games he's played there, he's really impressed me. And if you'd said at the start of the year that was an option, I'd be like, ooh, I'm not sure about that. It's one of these things under Jesper. Players are surprising you in some of the positions they play. Ralph Priso, who sadly we now know is going to be missing for up to 6 weeks.
Is it up to? I say up to, or is it the minimum?
I think up to is the optimistic way of looking at it, which probably means it will be 6 to 8.
Yeah, the thing about Badwall is, it is. I agree with you. He's like an unconventional type of player to have at wing, but again, he's just his football IQ is such, and his obviously his natural talent and ability, and probably his age is a little bit helpful. Is such that he and his flexibility is that he can play in a role like that and still contribute, and then like you said, even within the course of one game, be moved around the pitch and be effective in helping the side achieve their ultimate goal of getting 3 points.
Yeah, he was definitely one of the players of the game for me. I mean, the first half, it was pretty much, apart from heart attack moments at the back, nearly playing themselves into trouble, it was all Whitecaps. And Matt Fries, I think, showed why he's an international keeper. And it does kind of feel like if he's going to be the American starting keeper at the World Cup, if he puts in performances like he did against the Whitecaps, he's going to be a hard man to beat because it was string after string of saves. He was very, very impressive out there.
Yeah, that number one position for the Americans is a really, really interesting one, and just even how it's developed over the last whatever, say 2 to 4 years. How those gloves have changed hands more times than I thought they would have, and it's a few of them where you're like, look at where they are now. Like even Zach Steffen back in MLS, and it's really Matt Turner, who is also someone who I think has dreams of starting this summer. It's an interesting one.
I think for me, Fries, I mean, he played the most of the recent games for them as well as the starter, and he was on top form here. I would have been nice to have had a chat with him after the game, but yeah, Fries produced a string of great saves. On the flip side of that, I think Brian White needed to be a little bit more clinical.
No, that's fair.
Yeah, there was chance after chance for him, and it just felt that, it's going to be one of these days that nothing's going to work for him, nothing's going to come off. And I mean, I've written here, it's like he was in the 20th minute. There was a 25th minute one. There was a 35th minute one. There was a 40th minute one. It was like 5-minute increments. But then in the next 5-minute increments, that's when the Whitecaps get the opening goal. And it's another set piece. And it's the Sebastian Berhalter, Matthias Laborda connection. They've connected a lot on corners where Matty either gets it in the goal or knocks it down for someone else to do that. Another pinpoint free kick from Seba to the back post. Laborda runs in, outstretched leg, deflects it in. It's 1-0. And after that, it felt there was no looking back for them.
So, yeah, Man City Light, as I like to call them, or NYCFC, it's going to be an interesting week in video analysis for them. I don't understand how you can have both Whitecaps center backs making this run to the back post totally unmarked. It was like Laborda, I almost had to apologize. Oh, sorry, Blackman, I'm taking this one. I'm in front of you. Like it was, but I mean, it was a good finish. But those runs and how open they were, it was shocking.
Yeah, because I think 2 of the NYC defenders immediately turned to the linesman because they were like, they must have been offside to get that far ahead.
Because they beat us so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, no bueno there.
Perfect time to score as well, right before the break.
And like you said, it's also that's a byproduct of when you have such quality service.
Yeah, and it's what Berhalter has been so good at, and we talked about like when he's not on the pitch, when he gets subbed off, and you saw it in this game as well when he was taken off. The set piece deliveries then weren't as good. But going in at the break, it obviously then changed the halftime team talk, changes the dynamic a little bit because now NYC can't just sit back, maybe try and get a point. They've got to try and come out for it. Whitecaps started the second half strong. Mueller had a low shot that was tipped round the post. And then Berhalter had a really fierce strike that Fries tipped over as well. But then there was that spell where NYC got a little bit of wind in their sails and did put the Whitecaps under pressure, and the Whitecaps then were hitting on the counter-attack. But then slowly the Caps took it back over. White again had another shot saved in the 79th minute. Then he was through in the 81st minute. And I think he was a little bit selfish here because he had Bruno Caicedo to his left. And he didn't really look up at any point to play the ball to him. And I think in part it was because none of the other chances had come off. And he's like I'm going to get a goal today. I'm going to keep going here. But if he had just looked up and played it inside, Caicedo was wide open. And he would have been in, and that would have been the second.
Yeah, Caicedo, another good performance from him.
Yeah. But then he had a chance in the 84th minute where I felt he was a little bit selfish.
Fair.
It's a small criticism because you do want your strikers ultimately to be selfish in a way because that's how they're going to score. And there's nothing worse than strikers that are not going for shots and they're constantly looking up, or wingers that's constantly looking up to try and play the pass off and not going for the shot. But a little bit more awareness maybe. Something else, which was in the build-up to the second goal, it feels every single game Emmanuel Sabi tries a bicycle kick. And he tries a bicycle kick that isn't on. And it's like, try and just maybe do something a little bit simpler here. But the second clinching goal for the Whitecaps came 3 minutes from time. Brian White this time does manage to find a way past Matt Fries. And it's Caicedo, as you said, another great cameo from him. Pinpoint delivery. And this was an example of him not being selfish, because he could easily have just tried to fire a shot off there. But instead, beautiful flighted ball. White flies through the air, heads it home. At first, I thought he was offside. And I was speaking to one of the pro officials after the game. We were going out the stadium together, and I said, I was really worried White was going to be off in that goal. And it's like, we thought that as well. And then as soon as we looked at it, it's like, nope, he's on line with the last defender. He got into Akers' room, but it was a brilliant header. He met it so well.
Yeah. And you talk about all the misses. It's almost like those are forgiven in this moment, right? Or they can be forgiven. And you know, you just kind of want Brian to get on a streak where he's finding the back of the net and kind of, I guess, getting one of those rich vein of forms that he tends to get in. And it was deserved, and it was also, I think, put the side at ease, right? To be like, okay, this is done. We got it.
Yeah. That's his 6th goal in 7 MLS matches. And he could have had so many more. But we know that this is what Brian's like. And I'd rather he's getting into the positions and having the chances, and that the team's creating the chances, than he's just getting 1 or 2 a game. Because it's like, he's going to put one of these away. And then, do you know about the celebration? You might have missed this because you were out yesterday.
Yeah.
So he did his little heel click after the goal. Because before the game, he was on MLS 360 in the pre-game show.
It was Bradley
Wright Phillips said, I've got you as my scorer, so I need you to score. And he said, I'll get one for you today. And then I don't know who it was, if it was Bradley or Dax had said, are you going to do a little heel click if you do? And he's like, I'll do that for you. And he was true to his word. And then he went on the show afterwards as well. Brian said in the pre-game, I regularly, and I still do, watch Bradley's goals. So that's a player that he watches and kind of models himself on. That's an interesting thing to have a chat with him about. But yeah, 2-0 victory, really comfortable. Some good performances overall. I thought this was maybe the best, definitely one of the best performances from Thomas Mueller to start the season. He's maybe starting to get into the rhythm a little bit. I think a lot of it, though, and this was actually something Landfish 70 pointed out on Blue Sky as well to us, he wasn't being as closely man-marked. It allowed him to get a lot more space. And it was the kind of Thomas Mueller that we saw last year as well. He was moving, he was pointing, he was making the runs. So, I mean, obviously, teams are going to man-mark him or put 2 men on him. And that does seem to be where he's maybe had the weaker performances this year, but promising that he's maybe now starting to get into the groove a little bit.
Yeah, and yeah, like you said, that's what's needed, and it's nice to see some players kind of show that they're rounding into form at a really, really good time.
I think Matthias Laborda is starting to settle in really well at centre back now, and it's a shame because Ranko Veselinovic is nearly good to go. So just as Matty's going to get comfortable there, you imagine Ranko's going to come in and get that spot. He should be back at some point this month.
Yeah.
He's doing 11v11 training. Goldie and Samara Kugbe, May is now the target date. So that's been pushed back a little bit, which you have to feel for both of them is going to mean no World Cup, I think. Sam's maybe got an outside chance, depending on the defender situation. But I think it's tough now for them to show enough to get that. Ralph Priso, I still hope that he can maybe make the World Cup roster, but it's going to be tough. He's on the fringes as it is, and it might all depend on who's available and who's good to go.
I mean, in one sense, he was on the fringes. In another sense, because of the situation, he was kind of closer.
Knocking on the door.
Yeah. The whole roster for the Canadian men's national team of this World Cup is a really interesting one. I feel like the side has had to suffer, some significant injuries in the past. Just never so many in kind of one season, one time. And so
we'll talk about a couple more in later, part 4 because it just seems every week there's something.
Yeah, because I keep hearing like, oh, maybe Jesse will hold a spot for so-and-so just in case they're ready. But you can't do that with 3 to 6 players.
It's like, here's our 15-man squad.
And here are the 10 who will join us if nothing happens to these 6.
Yeah, it's getting a little concerning, but we'll talk a bit about that when we do our World Cup chat in the last part. From a Whitecaps point of view, it's great that Ranko's going to be close to coming back, and we got Cubas back, as mentioned, earlier than expected. And another game, Zach, as we talked about on the last podcast, where the Whitecaps have not conceded while Andres Cubas is on the pitch. So I asked Jesper about it in the post-game, and then the Whitecaps put something out about it today. I don't know if it's because of what I asked Jesper or if they were going to do it anyway. But yeah, here's what Jesper had to say about that.
First half, a couple of maybe scary moments playing out at the back. But on the whole, a really good defensive display, a clean sheet. Getting Andres Cubas back as well. The team hasn't conceded a goal all year in any competition when Cubas has been on the pitch. What does
it's tricky taking him out, huh?
Yeah. What does he do for you defensively when he is on the pitch?
He helps a lot with the way and the alertness, the reaction on in the repressure, the way he protects the central defense, the way he is always covering down spaces when spaces open up in transition moments, and he's very strong against the ball, and he's a player where that you can be also aggressive because he will cover up space for you, and he also has the aggression himself that also players around him get. So I think that he is, he's definitely done well, and I know about the statistics, and it's an unbelievable statistic to have actually this far in the season. So I think kudos to Andres, and of course we know that he's an important player for us.
So I said to Jesper, Zach, about the fact that they've not conceded in any competition while Cubas has been on the pitch this year. And Cubas was taken off early in this one after getting his traditional yellow card. And Jesper's like, I maybe shouldn't have taken him off then. And I was like, yep. Especially at 1-0. But it is a crazy stat. And like Jesper acknowledged this, 521 minutes now across all competitions, Cubas has been on the pitch and the Whitecaps haven't conceded. And like Jesper's talked there about what he means for the defence. Him being back can allow the defenders to play a bit more freely. They can get forward because they know the man's back there. It's what we've talked about all season. And I don't know, it just feels so different when he's playing that sixth role defensively.
It's massive. Yeah, he literally fills up like a hole in the team that no one else can.
Yep.
With the work he does. And obviously in the past we've had to talk about off days that he had, but he has
He
so
is a card
few of those.
machine as well, which is the worry because it means the suspensions.
But he's had so few of those off days and he has so many days where like, he's so crucial. And it'll be interesting to see over, let's say, the 2026 campaign as a whole, how some of those trends that we've seen in the early season play out. Do they continue to play it that way where they concede more without him and they concede like from distance because no one's kind of filling in that space where he usually is in terms of, tracking back or, getting a block in or stealing possession or just not allowing big shots from distance.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, even the card that he got, it was for a guy, he was running into the D and he's like brought down by Cubas. So it's like, I'll bring him down to save him getting a shot off.
Yeah.
And that's what he does.
Exactly. And sometimes that's exactly what's needed.
Yeah. And it does lead to suspensions, but it's better that than letting goals. And I will admit, when he took both him and Berhalter off, I was like, what's going on here? It's only 1-0. This is very risky. But, I mean, it was all good. What was also good, I think, as well, is that it's back-to-back weeks where, like, last week we had the drama of the late win. This was a just overall, from start to finish, a controlled, comfortable performance. Another bumper crowd, over 25,000 in, can only bode well. There's 2 more games of this lengthy homestand to come. Kansas City come on Friday night, so that will be interesting to kind of see what a Friday night crowd is like. Then it's Colorado, but then it's 5 games on the road before the World Cup break, and they're tough games. Galaxy, San Jose, Dallas, Houston, and San Diego. They also won't be able to be training for the full time at the NSDC either, because FIFA's going to be taking ownership of that. So we kind of see how all that works out. But I mean, these next 2 games, massive. Another 6 points, and you're looking that they have got 9 wins then from their first 10 matches if they can do this.
And it would make you so proud.
It would.
There's every possibility they could, and obviously they want to, but it would just propel them so towards one of their goals of winning a supporter shield, having home field advantage in the playoffs. That you hope they're able to take advantage of that, and that it keeps they keep this form going, so that when they do go on the road, they have they're playing well as a team, and they're able to then hopefully maximize some of those points that are offered on the road.
Last little Whitecaps bit for this part. Whitecaps 2 were in action, as I mentioned at the start, at Swangard today. It was an interesting game because Max Anker was in goals for Tacoma Defiance. So it was Max Anker against Isaac Boehmer.
Nice.
And Caps trailed 1-0, came back, ended up winning 2-1. 97th minute winner from Danny Itticheria, who has impressed so far this MLS Next Pro season. He was a standout at Princeton University. The legacy of Jesse Marsh continues. And he definitely looks a guy to watch for the twos. Ryan Illumi got the start for Whitecaps 2 today, and he got taken off maybe around the hour mark. Got to say I'm having a little bit of concern about Ryan's form just now. He didn't look great in this one, and I feel he's needing to get a run. He's not going to get a run in the first team with Brian White playing, so whether he gets a run in the twos or something else, I don't know. But I think the lack of playing time for him is kind of hindering his development a little bit, and that's exactly the good run that he was having that got him into the first team and got him those minutes at the end of last year to begin with.
Yeah, let's hope that he can find form. He gets some games again, whether it's with the twos or whatever, that they can find a solution for him that gets him into the form that he needs to be for hopefully contributing to the Caps in this season when they'll need him. And then also, he has, long term in his career international ideals that he's hoping to live out as well. And so he doesn't want a dip in form in his.
Well, yeah.
his
I
career.
mean, he got those 2 appearances for Tunisia in the recent international. So he's on the fringes maybe of that squad, or maybe it was just because the games were in Canada. But if he's not playing and not doing well, then those World Cup dreams for this summer you'd think might be hard to come by. It would be a risk, but do you maybe look at saying, look, can we maybe loan him out somewhere till after the World Cup break to get him those minutes? Or do we just have him regularly playing with the twos? I don't know. I think he needs a run.
If only we could shortlist some clubs that could use a striker.
Well, I think there's 2 CPL clubs in BC at the moment that might be looking for a little bit of help in that regard. We can talk about them in part 3. But that is it for the Whitecaps chat. We're going to continue talking MLS in the next part. We'll hear from NYC head coach Pascal Jansen and round up the week's action in MLS with a little bit of CanCon as well thrown in. And we'll be back with all of that after the first of 2 songs this episode from our Artist of the Month.
Hi, I'm Matias Laborda, and you're listening AFTN.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part is the first of 2 songs this episode from our Artist of the Month for April. From Oldham in England, the band is the Inspiral Carpets, and that was their 10th single that they released overall, Dragging Me Down, one of 2 songs that we'll be playing from their 3rd album, 1992's Revenge of the Goldfish. That song, Dragging Me Down, was released on February 17th, 1992, and was the first of 4 singles to be taken from that album, and it gave the band their biggest UK hit, peaking at number 12 in the UK charts. And we'll be back with another song from the Inspirals to kick off the next part, but we're going to get back to the football chat now, continue talking Whitecaps NYCFC to start this one off, and we're going to bring you some audio some post-game audio from New York head coach Pascal Jansen, just for his thoughts on the game and the BC Place pitch.
A well-deserved win for Vancouver. They were better than us today, even though we were able to get a good amount of possession today. We were also sloppy, and the topic that we were discussing throughout the week, intensity and defensive urgency, is something that was not there for the 100% today. So you get done in two detailed moments, and then Vancouver is too good to let these chances slip by. But overall, yeah, a well-deserved win for Vancouver, I think.
Your team had a lot of jump, a lot of pace after halftime. Did you have a message or anything of emphasis to get the boys going when the second half started?
Yeah, because as I mentioned just now in the first half, the turnovers for our quality were way too many, so easy loss of possession. I thought we were a little bit in a rush also the first half and not accurate enough going into the final third. So a little more emphasis on making sure that we use the spare people in the middle in order to switch play and then try to get into the final third. So we also control the turnovers better. So I think the second half showed that, but then again, once you switch off just one moment, then you get punished in the final phase of the game with the second goal.
This is going to be a World Cup host city. There's going to be a lot of matches here. What was your thoughts on the overall crowd, 25,000, the atmosphere for the venue?
Yeah, very positive. You can see the crowd is very engaged. It's a beautiful stadium. The only issue I have personally is the fact that it's turf. I think that should not be a part of the game at the level that we play. So I hope in the near future it will be natural grass. I know it's going to change during the World Cup because there will be a field in place, but that is something, that's my personal view on turf. I would like to see natural grass all over the MLS.
You brought up the turf. It wasn't me this time. Coach Marsh of Canada had some things to say about this pitch in New York, about it being the worst in professional sports. How do you compare
which field is that?
You're the one that you play on in Yankee Stadium.
Uh-huh.
Your overall thoughts, because you just mentioned the Vancouver pitch. He's talking about your pitch, the comparison, or how do you rate those? Yeah,
at least the one that we play on, either Citi Field or Yankee, is natural grass. Obviously, it's a baseball stadium, so it's not ideal, but it's natural grass. But also not 100% perfect fit either, because I think once the people see our new stadium next year in 27, it's going to be way better, and I think that's the way it should be.
NYC head coach Pascal Jansen there. And I mean, it's not like hard, Zach, to ask questions about the BC Place turf. But this time, Pascal brought it up himself.
He must have been elated.
Yeah, she was delighted. But yeah, he doesn't feel that in MLS, non-grass pitches should be allowed. And I agree with him. But then Har brought up, but Jesse Marsh says that your pitch is one of the worst in the world. And he's like, yeah, but at least it's grass. And they will have the new stadium soon. But I am with him on that. In this day and age, you would think it should be grass all round. But I watch other turf pitches on TV, and they all look better on TV than the one at BC Place. It looks horrendous. Maybe the new one that's going to go in after the World Cup will look better on TV. Hopefully it plays better as well. But yeah, it looks so bad.
Yeah, it does not look good.
Yeah.
You're not wrong with that.
But let's get into our MLS roundup. And we won't break down all the games. And I'm going to do this not in the order that they were played for once. I kind of just want to look at how it affects the top of the West, because obviously the Whitecaps are now in first place. And let's talk right off the bat. You alluded to it in part one as to how they got there. Phil Neville did the Whitecaps a favour, or his team did them a favour. Portland, shocking LAFC it shocked me anyway, with a 2-1 win at home in the early kickoff. It was a much rotated LAFC side, let's say that, because they are playing Cruz Azul away on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So there was no sun. Buanga started, but a host of other starters were on the bench. LAFC conceded their first goals in MLS of the year, so that was good as well. And going into this one, I think on the back of what happened up here last week, Ned Grabavoy said, we're giving Phil Neville these first 14 games. We feel that's only fair. And then we'll look at the lie of the land then. So that's either a kiss of death, but I mean, it does put pressure on him because he knows, after these 14 games, if things aren't going well, you are on the outs. But I think it's also clever by Grabavoy to do that because it saves the question being asked every week now if things don't go well.
Does that 14 take him to the World Cup break? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it makes sense, I've got to say. Now, it was a good game, very entertaining game, but it didn't turn or hinge on this, but I think this played a big part. So Thomas Asal was getting the start, and I was like, oh, great for Thomas, glad he's getting the start. And we all know the injuries that he's had over the years. He's had some concussions. He's had some facial injuries that's seen him miss a lot of time. And now he's got what looked like a broken nose.
Yeah.
Collision with his own defender. The defender's trying to hold off the attacker. Sal comes out. And a goalkeeper, Gorps GK, on social media, said he watched it back. And for him, it was Hasal's fault because he comes out at pace, head down, not really looking, and he gets absolutely clattered. I think that's a little harsh because I'm not sure what else he was meant to do. But the longer this went on, and it was a long stoppage, I think it was felt like about 10 minutes. You're like, it's not going to be good to continue. He ran, they did the concussion checks, but then you saw his nose, and you're like, oh, that looks like it's busted.
Yeah.
So,
I feel for the kid.
Had to go off. Cabral Carter, the LAFC 2 goalkeeper, came on, who I just had seen playing at Swangard against Whitecaps 2. So he came on, and within 2 minutes, he's beaten, and it's 1-0 for Portland. Velda runs onto a long ball, fires it low, past the new goalkeeper from the edge of the box. LAFC's first goal against, and the worst possible start for the young lad coming in.
Mm-hmm.
He did come up with an absolutely fantastic save, though, just minutes later. But then, second half, LAFC tie it up. 4 minutes after the restart, 18-year-old Jude Terry, one of the goals of the weekend, beautiful curler to the top corner. Yeah. And that was how it stayed to the 88th minute when Ryan Porteous, my fellow Scotsman, thought that he had given LAFC the win, but offside in the build-up. And then Portland, maybe fitting after what happened to them last week, they get a 96th minute winner, Kevin Kelsey from close range, finishing off a Brandon Bye header down into the 6-yard box. Scenes at Providence Park, and Portland get a huge 3 points.
I was going to say challenge. The choice to jump by the third string LAFC keeper on the header back towards the goal was one, obviously, Hill-Rue.
Yeah.
Because it kind of bounces under him almost for Kelsey, then just to duck down and nod into a gaping empty net. Good on the Timbers. Whatever you want to say about Neville, some of Neville's comments, or even how he responded to Har last week, or whatever, or his perspectives on some of the plays within that one game. When you look at the season as a whole, it does feel like they have been hard done by, and the results don't really reflect their true play, their true performances. And so
we said last week, there's a good team in there.
Yeah.
I tell you who was awesome in this game. Finn Surman.
Yeah.
Once again was outstanding. And got a chat with Finn during the week. And it was another one of those cases of, it was better to chat to him not after the game, because we'd have got 5 or 10 minutes with him. Had a great 20-minute chat with him during the week.
Nice.
And we joked about the questions in the post game, and it's like, look, it's good to get hard questions.
Yeah.
And he said, that's my job, and I'm the captain. It's my job to answer these questions.
Yeah.
And that just shows the maturity of him. I don't think he'll be at Portland long. I think if he has a good World Cup, there's going to be teams coming a calling for him. But yeah, he was excellent for Portland once again. Even a draw with the Whitecaps win would have seen the Whitecaps top of the West, but it saw LAFC drop down to third.
Yeah.
And jumping over them and going level in points at the top with the Whitecaps, San Jose Earthquake, Bruce Arena's men, they're ticking along. A 3-1 win over the team that the Whitecaps are now going to be playing on Friday night, Sporting Kansas City, who are rock bottom.
Yeah, I was going to say they're a light touch.
Yeah. But they were the better team in the first half of this. They had most of the chances. A lot of empty seats again. And we talked about this, and it used to be such a vibrant stadium, and I get it. I mean, why are you going to pay your hard-earned money to go and watch this team right now? Because they're not playing good football. But they did start strong, and I think the Whitecaps were like doing scouting from this game. There were enough things to raise alarm bells, but I also think the way that the Whitecaps defend maybe wouldn't leave them as susceptible as San Jose were. Bartlett actually opened the scoring for KC in this one in the 27th minute. They had a couple of other chances, but then a turnover in the 44th minute, and then just seconds later, it's 1-1. Skehan puts in the back of the net, and all the good work from KC in the first half, totally undone. And Skehan made it 2-1 in the 49th minute. It was a quick counter, a 2-on-1 break. He was wide open. So if KC push, now they were at home in this one, but if they come to BC Place and they push forward the way they did here, the pace of the Whitecaps guys is just going to rip them apart. But their interplay was good in this game, and that's something that the Whitecaps will need to watch. But I think defensively, we've got the players that will handle that. Romney got a third for San Jose with 15 minutes to go. But some signs that KC could be a threat. Joveljic is obviously a good player as well. But in their 7 games, 1 win so far, they've scored 7, they've given up 17. You've got to feel it's going to be you don't want to ever say an easy game for the Whitecaps, because these are the games that can come back and bite you in the ass. But you should be looking at 3 points on Friday night.
Yeah, absolutely. The one question I want to know this is does San Jose celebrate with Freebird every game, or do they change up the music in the locker room when they win?
Maybe that is just their lucky song now.
Exactly. That's what I want to know. Inquiring minds and all that. No, yeah, you're right. In a league like MLS, you can't take anything for granted. I mean, generally in football, you can't take anything for granted. And the Whitecaps can't, take it easy or think that they're going to have an easy encounter on Friday night. Plus, in addition to maintaining their form or upping the level, upping their level, they also want to continue to impress in front of their home crowd. It's a weird season where you have all these home games and then you're going to have none. And so you really want to, second last home game before the World Cup, you really want to, you want to put your best foot forward. And
I was saying to Kate, and I've got two more Whitecaps games coming up, and then that's it till August 1st. She's like, what?
LAFC, yeah.
Yeah. I was looking at the away games in May, but because of my League One or BCPL, because of my BCPL commentary, I don't think I can get down to any of them, apart from the ones in Texas, which is the places I wouldn't want to be going to. Interestingly, in the table, the teams in 4th and 5th are RSL and Seattle on 13 points. But they didn't play this weekend because, and I didn't know this was possible, Seattle managed to get a game called off because of the CONCACAF Champions Cup.
Oh my, yeah. Good for them.
It was because their game was scheduled for Sunday. And
it's Tuesday though.
Yeah, I think they're playing on the Wednesday, but it was like logistically they couldn't rearrange it for another day, and it's just so annoying because of what happened with the Whitecaps in that Minnesota game before the final last year. Yeah. But it is what it is. Just quick roundup of some other games in the West. Colorado, who will be the other team that's coming to BC Place before they hit the road, 6-2 win over Houston. Colorado are an entertaining team this year. Not necessarily for all the right reasons. That game against TFC last week was just
something
bizarre.
else. Yeah.
And then this one, 6-2. I wrote down the scoring pattern. It was 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, 3-1, 4-1, 5-1, 5-2, 6-2, with the 3 final goals in this game all coming in stoppage time.
This is at Colorado, right?
And 1 for Houston.
This is at Colorado, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kosi Thompson, who had just joined them from TFC, got 2 goals in this one. So I wasn't sure about that transfer, but it seems to be working out good. But yeah, they're banging the goals in, so that might be a tough one for the Whitecaps. The 6 goals from them now makes them joint leading scorers with the Whitecaps in the West. But they have shipped 12.
Let's see how they handle the altitude of BC Place.
Yeah. San Diego are languishing in 8th place at the moment. They look so good to start the season, and especially in the CONCACAF Champions Cup.
Did I not say in our predictions that they're not going to do as well this year?
Yeah.
I don't know that I don't know how them as far down as 8th. But
no, but I got carried away because of how well they'd done in the Champions Cup.
I'm pretty sure I definitely took them out of the top 4.
Yeah, I think you did. And Minnesota, who was the other team that we had out of the top 4 as well, they won 2-1. I mean, they won there in the run-in last year, but they went behind in the 7th minute. Bombino volleyed home in the 7th minute. 8 minutes later, Duncan heads them level, and then Yeboah, 5 minutes before half-time from close range. Poor defending. McVeigh was sent off for a second yellow card at the start of the second half. Jiang should have got a 3rd late on for Minnesota as well. But yeah, San Diego sitting in 8th on 11 points, and now Minnesota in 9th on 11 points. Dallas drew 1-1 St. Louis. They're the last team we haven't mentioned that's in the top 9 playoff spots at the moment. They're sitting in 7th. Both goals in the second half. The Haitian defender, Lucius Didson, made it 1-0 for Dallas in the 48th. Set up by a great tackle from Peter Musa as well. But then Baumgartel in the 61st at the back post earned St. Louis a point. Tuchert probably should have won the game for St. Louis in stoppage time, but a huge save from Khalidi. And it was only watching this game that I remembered that I'd forgotten that Sergio Cordova is with St. Louis at the moment.
Yes.
Saw him in this game, I was like, oh yeah, still not scoring. And then the last Western game to talk about, LA Galaxy 2, Austin 1. It was an early kickoff. The first Galaxy win away from home in 20 matches. Their last win came on October 2nd, 2024 on the road.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. Yoshida headed them home.
Yeah, he did.
From a corner in the 34th minute. Tommy got onto a through ball in the 78th minute, about 10 yards inside the Austin box, raced in, fired past Stuver to make it 2-0. Izuni made it 2-1 in the 85th minute, drilling home from the edge of the box. Austin had a chance to get a point from this as well. They didn't. Jaden Nelson started on the bench in this one, came on in the 62nd minute, showed some flashes. Commentators were on his back a little bit for not wanting to take on defenders as much and trying to find passes. But I don't know if that's something that he's been asked to maybe do. But him not starting it is probably concerning for him.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit more MLS chat, and we'll do some CanCon just now. First of all, we'll start with our battle for the Canadian number 1. It was Miami 2, Red Bulls 2. And Dane didn't do anything wrong in this. I don't think he could have saved either of the goals. And he didn't have a save to make apart from the 2 balls that ended up in the back of the net.
The first goal, I felt he could have done better.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, the front angle for sure. The behind angle, yeah, maybe looked a little bit like, okay. But he couldn't, it was, but yeah, when I remember watching it like as it happened, and you're like, oh man, he should have done better. But Max, on the other hand,
Yeah, it was Columbus won, Orlando won. Orlando took the lead in this, which was a shock. Diego Rossi, 80th minute, beautiful chip in to set him up, and what a volley.
Yeah, I like those ball. I like when the ball's like lifted like that over the defense for the attacker to run onto. It's hard to blame. Well, it's hard to blame Max for that. Plus the following of the run, because it's kind of a give and go with Rossi.
Yeah.
Is really horrific. The defending there. But he was like man of the match, and the reason they got a point, they should have still won the game with the chances that they created and the opportunities that they created. Where again, players elected to shoot as opposed to pass to maybe a teammate who was in a better position. Really let them down. Yes, Kirk and I were watching the highlights of that one. Kirk's like, oh, like that's gonna come back and haunt them, and yeah, it definitely did in one sense, but at least they did enough to get away with a point for them, and hopefully help to begin to turn their season around. But it feels like with this Orlando squad, it's like Max is gonna face a lot of shots, and we're sort of getting between the hey, they got battered and there's nothing you could do, and or this is the other end of the spectrum where it's like Max virtually extends on his head and does all he can to get them some type of result.
Yeah, I mean, Columbus not having a great season. They're down in 11th in the East, but they're good team, good players. You expect them to go on a run.
Mm-hmm.
Last little MLS chat for this part and the show as well. A little bit more Canadian content. We'll talk about the other two Canadian teams. So Toronto blew a lead again late on. In another game where their opponents got a man sent off. They are unbeaten in 5 games, though, and they're currently sitting 6th in the East. It was 1-1 at home to Cincinnati. Kevin Denke got a red card in the 71st minute. He'd been booked for dissent a minute before, where he wasn't happy with the decision and threw his boot on the ground.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of an off-the-ball challenge that got him a second yellow. Now,
I only saw the highlights, so I haven't gone back and seen actually. He must have elbowed him because he didn't protest that much.
Yeah, it was just a stupid coming together. And like, if you're the Cincinnati head coach, you're losing your shit at that.
Yeah.
It's such a stupid thing from an experienced player. And the dissent alone was like a stupid thing.
Yes.
So that was in the 71st minute. Then TFC take the lead with 7 minutes to go from an own goal. Gilberto Flores tries to clear it, doesn't really get it right, and deflects the ball past Celentano. And you think, oh, well, that's going to be it. It's going to be 3 points for TFC. But then 2 minutes into stoppage time, Dem earns a point for Cincinnati. And you've got to see these games out.
Yeah, it'll be hugely disappointing for Robin Fraser that they were not able to close out against Denmark.
I mean, I know they came on late against Colorado last week, but against Red Bulls, they gave up the late goal. And I mean, overall, there was positives to take from it, and it does feel that they're going in they're ascending. They're going in the right direction, and you can't really say that about Montreal. Did the joke at the start of the show, but yes, they are looking for a new head coach. Philadelphia got their first win of the 2026 season. It cost Marco Donadell his job. Montreal didn't have a post-game press conference.
Wow.
With coach or players or anyone.
Is that a fine?
Yep.
Yeah.
And as soon as that happened, folk were like, oh, Donadell's gone. Our good friend Jonathan Tannenwald was actually up for the game. And then he was saying, I've been told by a well-placed source that, yeah, Donadell has gone. And then it was officially announced this morning. So they're on the search for a new coach. Start the Vanni Sartini rumours. He speaks French. He's been doing press conferences in French in Halifax.
Well, it's in his favorite country.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's the thing. He could have been in the mix for that, but I don't think he would want to walk away from just taking a job on.
No.
But it's an MLS, and he might not get another chance to get back into MLS. So I'm half joking, mostly joking, but I mean, who do they get now? They've tried big name managers. There's the type. It has to be somebody that fits the club's ethos, somebody that has to speak French. It limits it to an extent, obviously not hugely, but if you're looking for somebody that knows the league, it does limit it in that regard. If you're bringing in somebody from outside the league, is that a good or a bad thing for a team in Montreal's situation? You've seen someone like Jesper come in here, didn't know the league, and he hit the ground running, but he's had a way better foundation to come into. I don't know what they do now.
Yeah, I mean, the Donadell appointment seemed like a potential step in the right direction in terms of someone, former player, someone who's done so much at the club, and
they've let two of his assistants go as well.
Oh yeah, that's whole overhaul. Yeah,
it was tough. I feel it was tough if it was based just on this result, but obviously it's not. It's everything that's built up to it. It was their home opener. They'd been on the road for 6 games. There'd been mixed performances. They took the lead in this one.
Yep.
They thought they had an early penalty 10 minutes in, but then VAR called the ref over, and it's like, no, it was ruled out. But then they did take the lead. Jaime, route 1 goal in the 23rd minute. The bell enders were delighted, and Montreal were the better team in the first half. But then, 55th minute, Seri heads home a free kick. A minute later, Iloski has it in the back of the net for 2-1, but it was offside. And then Bueno, 20 minutes from time, 70th minute, 2-1, buries a flicked-on throw-in, and that's it, 2-1 Philly, and Donadell's gone.
Interesting times on Montreal.
I mean, they need to get the next one right. But that's easier said than done.
Yeah, exactly.
I saw Tom Bogart had put a list of all the DPs they've had. And part of the problem is they're not spending on bringing in DPs. They're doing DPs on the cheap. It's like free agents or not really paying anything much for the guys. And you don't always have to spend money on guys to be successful. But I don't know, this squad build that they've got, they now can't do anything to the summer. It does feel it's going to be a long season for them. You've got a new team in Supra in town. There were empty seats for the home opener in Montreal as well.
Yeah.
It's just all a mess. We should probably get someone on, one of our friends from the Ballers Round or someone out Montreal way just to chat about things, really.
We should.
But that is it for the MLS chat. We are going to talk CPL in the next part. Another eventful week in the CPL, including for the aforementioned Supra. And we'll be back with that after the second song this episode from our Artist of the Month.
Hi, I'm Brian White, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
I steal to feed, I fight to breathe, through hunger, not greed. I find these days it's the only way I can survive. Dusty city with all the gods on the hill, will not one of them help us? The temple which they built is an empty shell. Oblivious to our needs, wonder sometimes how so many could be so blind. What have I done with my life? Is this the end when two worlds collide?
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part is the second song this episode from our Artist of the Month for April, Oldham band, the Inspiral Carpets, and that was their 11th single and the second one to be taken from their third album, Revenge of the Goldfish. It was released on May 18th, 1992, Two Worlds Collide. And it only reached number 32 in the UK charts, but it did give the band their biggest US success, peaking at number 8 in the UK alternative charts. And we'll be back with two more songs from the Inspirals in the next episode of the show. But we're going to get back talking football now, and we're going to turn our attention to the Canadian Premier League for this part. A full slate of matches this weekend, Zach, thankfully. All 8 teams got to play a game.
Yeah, it's nice when you have a full weekend like that.
Yes. We got to see the debut in the league of Supra FC de Quebec. We'll get to their game in a second. We'll talk a little bit about all 4 games, and there's some other big talking points kind of want to go over in this part. So the action kicked off. It was Inter Toronto taking on Vanni Sartini's Halifax, as I think they have to be called nowadays. And it was a 2-2 draw. Vanni's team fought back twice in this one. A pair of goals for Julian Altobelli, starting the season off hot, as they did last year as well. Inter Toronto took the lead in the 43rd minute. Kareem Sow, 4 minutes after the restart, got Halifax back on level terms with a scrambled goal, it has to be said. Altobelli, 4 minutes later, though, restored Toronto's lead. And then 4 minutes from time, Tavio Cicciarelli got the point for Vanni's team. And again, I don't think the Wanderers were the best team in this. A point may be a fair result, but I think Inter Toronto is maybe going to feel they should have got all 3 from this one.
Yeah, that's fair. I think Halifax is not performing at the levels they need to, despite some of the resiliency that you mentioned that they showed.
Few wobbles defensively, which is kind of what you think Vanni's going to have built a core from.
Yeah, but they had that against VFC the week before too.
Yeah.
But again, also it is important to remind ourselves of how early the days it is. Right?
It's week 2. And Vanni's still obviously experimenting with his side and seeing who's the best fits.
Small thing for me. So I don't really love when one team's wearing all dark blue and the other team's wearing light blue. I knew
as soon as I saw the teams, I thought Zach's going to have something to say about that.
Well, Kirk said it to me. He's like, what are they doing here? They're wearing basically the same color shorts, it looks like.
Yeah.
And then it's blue on blue, which I know at least they're light and dark. And it's,
it's a big enough differentiation, I think. I was just thinking as I was watching the game, there's certain, obviously everyone likes particular colours just in general and for clothing or whatever. That kind of sky blue or whatever kind of blue you want, I've always loved that. It's just a colour that I just think is a brilliant shirt to wear, football shirts in particular.
You love Man City?
Maybe I'm just a secret City fan.
No, I agree with you. That kind of shade of light blue tends to pop and work really well. But,
yeah. I tell you another colour I like for a football jersey is purple. And I do like the purple teal kind of combination that Pacific have had over the years. I'm still not sure what I think of Pacific's new wavy, stripy top. I mean, I don't like stripes in general. The waves kind of makes me like it a bit more, I think.
Yeah, I think for them it's nice to have something different.
What would be nice for them is if they could actually win games.
Oh my.
That's 2 games, 2 defeats at home. And they got to play Supra in the Quebec side's first ever match. 3-2 win for Supra. Deserved. And the scenes, like, it was emotional. They kept focusing on the box and the owners, and there was tears at the end, understandably. And it is nice if a team wins their first ever match. Now, when it's a new league, that's going to be obviously tough to happen. Expansion sides, I know it didn't happen for VFC, but to get that first win in your first match, it is special. The only sad thing about it for me is they couldn't have their first match at home.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the reality sometimes, right? Yeah. 4 years ago, Vancouver FC went through it.
Yep.
And for them, it was, I think stadium issues, right? The stadium wasn't ready, and so they had to go on the road, and what better place to go than Pacific? But yeah, so congrats to Supra, the group they put together. In terms of players, it will be interesting, I think, still.
Yeah, because a lot of them we don't know, and a lot of them were wondering how they'll gel. They've gone for we want a core team that is from the area, and we talked about that in our preview. It's what fans get behind. And after what we've talked about in the last part with Montreal, depending on what's going to happen there, this is a prime time for a CPL club to launch in Quebec and try and get some disenchanted fans.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that.
Either to support both teams or to move over.
Yeah. It would be nice to see a real great crowd kind of continue to assemble to watch this side.
Yeah.
At their home games. And this is also the type of team that I think there's good potential for them to have some really good away support, whether it's in Ottawa or Toronto or Hamilton or potentially even in Halifax.
Yeah, it's got the base of being a really special team. This was an entertaining game. There was 31 shots between the two teams. Quemi makes history by getting Supra's first ever goal, 34th minute. And then, this shocked me more than anything, Marco Bustos scored. I'm tongue-in-cheek, but Marco had a really poor 2025 by his standards. And I genuinely didn't have him down as a starter for 2026. But you look around that Pacific roster and there's not a lot of other players that you think is going to come in instead of Marco. So I think he needed this. It was a well-taken goal. Delighted for him, and hopefully it gives him a little bit of confidence now to push on.
Yeah, got to talk to him very briefly in the preseason game. He's in this new phase of life with being a parent and all this kind of stuff. But really, yeah, he's so talented.
Yeah,
he's such a gifted footballer who has worked so hard to try and make it in the game, right? And yeah, I just hope that he's able to perform well per Pacific. And as much as it may be, my time in the supporter community, I would prefer that Pacific doesn't do well. But no, I genuinely do long for the best for Marco, and do hope that this season of his career, this kind of spell, this return to the CPL is actually a really great, really great arc for him.
Yeah, hopefully this is his bounce back season, because I tell you, Pacific need it. I guess it's kind of much like we talked about with Portland, that there's a making of a good team there. I'm not sure the depth's there enough to carry them through the season. They were only back on level terms for 5 minutes before Sean Rea scored for Supra to make it 2-1, but then Josh Herd tied it up for Pacific with 20 minutes to go. And then a very interesting ending in this one. Pacific's Joshua Bellows got a yellow card in the 91st minute. Then a minute, maybe 2 minutes later, he makes another challenge, gives away a free kick. Referee doesn't give him a second booking, just gives the free kick. Supra's head coach, Nick Rizagi, does the review, that we've got the FVS system, this is little twirly thing, and you can only challenge for 4 things. So he was challenging, saying, oh, that was a red card tackle.
Yeah.
And you look at it, and in no way, shape, or form was that a red card tackle. But by reviewing it, the referee's like, oh, that was a bad tackle, that deserves a booking, gives him the second booking, and thus the guy is sent off. So I think that's a loophole that they need to kind of close down. Now, Rezaghi can just say, oh, I genuinely thought it was a worse challenge than it was and it should have been a red. But it was a huge moment in the game. And it just makes it look like you're reviewing yellow cards now.
Yeah. I feel, I hear you on the, I don't know if it's especially a loophole, but I hear you in the sense that it does make it so that there's another way that this whole system can be used to your advantage.
Manipulated.
But
now, I should say as well, it was definitely a second yellow.
Well, that's what I'm going to say. That's what I was going to say.
The right decision in the end.
Exactly. I think with most of these things, as long as we see them get to the right decision, you kind of feel like, okay, if the process wasn't perfect, at least they got the call right. And I think, yeah, I agree. In the end, I think it was the right decision.
But then Pacific's down to 10 to close the game out, and then Alexander Marcoux gets the winner. 97th minute. Supra make history in their first ever match. They go to the island, they leave with all 3 points, and didn't get a chance to listen to James Merriman's post-game audio yet. I can imagine he's not going to be a very happy man. Maybe philosophical, but I don't know.
Yeah, at least there was no, verbals or argy-bargy after this one.
No, which is a lovely segue into the first of Sunday's games. It was the rematch of last year's championship game, Cavalry hosting Ottawa this time. It was fitting that there was snow in the air. And there was snow on the outside as well. But yeah, it didn't get too heavy, but it was kind of constant for the whole game. Cavalry, excellent in the first half. And Ottawa only started playing, it kind of felt, when they were 2-0 down. Dan Klomp headed home a Toby Waszewski free kick in the 17th minute. And then 5 minutes later, a second goal in as many weeks from Harry Payton. Loving this move to Cavalry. It's 2-0 at the Cavs. They're coasting. And then an interesting moment involving FVS just before the half-hour mark, when Diego Mejia, the Ottawa coach, challenged for a yellow card to be a red card. And then you look at it, and then again, in no way, shape or form is it a red card offence. So I've no idea why he's just wasted that FVS review. But then moments later, there's a potential handball in the box that's not given. And they never showed the replay on One Soccer. But if Mejia had challenged it and was unsuccessful, he's out of challenges with an hour of the game to go. So they don't challenge it. And it's because of wasting it on the stupid yellow that was never going to be a red. This is something that the coaches also have to get used to. And I think if you're a little bit of a hot-headed coach or you're pissed off because your team's losing, you've got to be clued in. You cannot waste these challenges. Because if you're successful, you get your challenge back and you still have 2 more challenges.
Yeah, there's a whole new tactical approach to how do you use these things to the best of your advantage. And we've seen in the CPL, sides really need to find whatever margin they can. And it's going to be interesting to see how people utilize this one.
Yeah. Antigone made it 3-0 for the Cavs midway through the second half. And then another game with a very interesting ending. Tommy Wheeldon did an FVS challenge late in the game, looking for a handball in the box. And a couple of issues here. The cameras were awful for it. You couldn't get a clear look. It definitely hits the arm, but the cameras, because they're far away, not in a good position, there's not enough of them, they're not clear enough, you can't actually see where it hits. Is it shoulder? Is it hand? Is it arm? I think it was up at the shoulder. To me as well, it looked like the hand was down by the body, so I think it was the right decision. But it was hard to get 100%. Yeah, that is definitive for me. But the other thing about it is they stopped play for the review whilst Ottawa were on an attack. But it was deemed that the ball was in the neutral zone. But they were on the edge of the cavalry box, which is not the neutral zone to me.
Very awkward.
And I don't know if that led to something that then happened later or not, or if Mejia was a bit pissed off that Tommy had challenged whilst 3 goals up, looking for more. But they did pull a goal back. Cam Habibullah may have got his first of the season, and it was first of the season. I need to check actually if it ended up getting given to Habibullah. To me, it was an own goal because I'm not sure it was on target from Habibullah and it gets deflected in. But Habibullah celebrated like it was his. So let's just give it to Cam, just for the sake of it. But 3-1 in the end for Cavalry. The defending champs are still winless to start the new campaign. And then Tommy Wheeldon and Diego Mejia got into it after the game. There was finger pointing. They were in each other's faces. They had to get pulled apart. Don't know what that was all about, but there's no love lost between the two of them. I think it's fair to say. It started in that championship game last year. I think it's carrying over into 26. I'm here for it.
Very much carrying over into 2026. And yeah, I'm not a really fan of Mejia's style, if you will, as a coach in the CPL. The way, like, I get what he's doing, right? The way he's speaking of his side, and also at the same time saying his side is essentially teaching the league how to play football properly. Yeah. It's so the arrogance. If he was
my coach, I would probably love it and lap it all up.
Yeah, I don't think it's other than maybe giving some narrative and drama for the social medias and whatever. Because I saw the clip on social media.
Yeah,
I don't like it in the long run. I'm okay if the league has a whatever villainous type coach, down the road or whatever. I just don't know it. We know Tommy so well, and we know that his heart is about growing the game, and I don't think this grows the game in the way you want it, right? Like, I think it's actually more of a negative in the long run. So,
Tommy's also somebody that can get under people's skins quite easily, but he's also a hothead.
Yeah.
So, we'll see if we find out what was behind that. I genuinely can't wait for Vanni and Mejia on the sidelines. Might not be the first game between them, but in one of these 4 games, something's going to happen. Because Vanni's just so loud and vocal and wears his heart on his sleeve. And I can see that winding Mejia up.
There's potential there.
Final game of the weekend, the one you were at. And it was Forge 1, Vancouver 0. I didn't find it the most exciting game. Might have been better if you were there, I don't know. I would say Vancouver were the better team for me for pretty much most of the game. And once again, they're unlucky to come away from this one with nothing to show for it. They had a shot cleared off the line in a scramble with 15 minutes or so left. Then there was a controversial FVS incident with less than 10 minutes to go as Forge got a penalty for a high foot from Mattia Capagna.
Dangerous play, yeah.
I've seen a photo since on Discord that does make it look like Capagna catches the top of the Forge player's foot, but none of the video footage to me showed that clearly. And it wasn't given on the pitch. And none of the footage that I saw, for me, clear and obvious, categorically to me said that was a penalty. If they'd said Murray Donner tugged the guy back, I could have gone with that because I did see a little tug there, but Capagna got booked, so it clearly was for the high foot. I didn't see anything enough to make me think it was a definite penalty. Callum Irvin comes up big with a save from the penalty and then the save from the rebound as well. But what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, on the penalty itself, I thought it was a little bit harsh. Having watched it back now, I see why it's given, but still feel it's really harsh. Again, especially with, like you said, the limited number of camera angles and kind of the actual angle that they're at. It feels super harsh. I think justice was served, and
Yeah. And the
Cal.
ball's up high off the ground as well. What's a player meant to do? Like, if Campagna goes for it with his head, he's going to get kicked in the head.
Yep.
So he has to put his foot up to try and get to the ball. I don't know. I thought it was a weird one. But yeah, Callum saves Mo Babuli's penalty. His 6th save from the spot in the CPL. It's the most of any keeper in CPL history. But then VFC go up the pitch, should have scored, big breakaway, Tern Campbell. He's going to want that back. He just didn't cleanly connect with it or took too long in it. I'm not sure if it was one or the other or both.
Well, he didn't cut inside onto his right because he wanted it on his left. And then the shot was it was weak. That kind of chance in that moment, that kind of game needs to be finished.
Berthaud stumbled because he was expecting the shot earlier and then had to try and recover and still saved it.
You're bearing the lead though, Michael, on that play. It's a wonderful bit of skill from, first off, Emmerich Fotzing.
Oh,
and then
you have to mention Fotzing at some point.
Oh, absolutely. Asked Marty about it in post game, and his contribution when he came in because he came in for Mosquita in the 10 role, and the pressing he did, and even just the creativity he showed, even though that's not necessarily his strongest point, I think were really huge. And then also the latest signing, and I think the last signing of kind of this window, or potentially the last signing of this window, I should say, Abubakar Traore.
Oh, yes.
Played a
Straight
role
on the bench today as well, which I thought was interesting, considering some of the other guys are still trying to get up to their fitness, which we'll come to one of them in a sec.
Yeah.
But it was a chance, like, they rued it in the end, because in the 90th minute, and it just felt so harsh, but it's what Forge do so well. Maxime Filion buries the winner from 6 yards out after Irvin had parried away Ben Payton's shot to the near post. It just fell right to Filion, right place, right time, puts it home. Tough loss again.
Yeah, it's back-to-back games for the Eagles where they are objectively the better footballing side. Created more going forward, the better quality chances. They just weren't able to finish, or more so last week than this week. You had a goalkeeper kind of stood on their heads. Last week it's defeat to a wonder strike. This time it's a defeat to a late rebound goal. And it's a bitter pill to swallow for the Eagle faithful.
But on the positive side, it's been 2 good performances.
Yes, but Nash also spoke post the game as like, yeah, there's not a lot you can do with that. You know what I mean? Like,
true.
It's like
ultimately, it's scoring goals, which they haven't scored any of this year, and taking chances. They're scoring goals and getting points on the board, which again, they haven't got any so far from the first 2 games, but they're not bottom.
No.
The table's turned upside down. Ottawa's bottom now.
Yeah, everyone I think is happy with that.
There's 3 teams yet to get a point, which is Pacific, Vancouver and Ottawa, and there's 2 teams at the top with 6 from 6, which is Forge and Cavalry, with Supra also being 1 for 1 and 3 points, but lot of football to be played, and there are signs, there's things to work on, there's things to build on, but they're going to be away from home now for the next couple of games. Crowd today, I had it announced during the game, it was under 2,000, so a drop off of 1,500, which is to be expected. It was a season opener and Vanny was there. Did it feel like that? Because again, you didn't really get any shots from the stand that the camera's on.
Yeah, no, it definitely was less than last week, but and the drop off in the home, like he said, that's to be expected. But it is an increase over what they had in the second game last year. And again, the first game
1,900. It was announced at.
Yeah, it was 1908. I think it was the exact number. But yeah, there's some growth and encouraging signs there for them. I think it's somewhere between 30 and 40 or 45% increase over the second game from last year. And obviously the opening game was probably the largest attendance they've had in quite a while. So they know, they're cognizant of that, but they also know and feel that winning winning can help that. They got their theme nights out there. There was great halftime. I don't want to mispronounce or miss anything. I'll just call it a really great cultural dance and singing.
Oh yeah, for Vaisakhi.
Yeah, it was great.
One thing I will say about that, because I had a couple of people get in touch, they're having an autism awareness night, but they're also doing it the same night as country night, and people weren't happy that the two things were on the same game, whereas other things have got their own individual game. So if anyone from VFC is listening, that hasn't gone down well with the autism community.
But there's only so many games, so maybe they had to put two together. I don't know the reason, but
I don't know. I'll be back out there for the Canadian Championship game. Looking forward to it. The Langley Derby. And I was out there on Friday night for the BCPL game. It was our games of the week. Langley United against Kamloops. Langley's on fire at the moment. This is going to be a tasty little game. 9 goals from their first 2 games for Langley to kick off the defence of their BCPL title. 5 of those 9 goals, though, have come from VFC loanees. And they've got 2 clean sheets, both of those with VFC goalkeepers in goal. So I don't know how great prep that is for getting the squad ready for taking on Vancouver FC, because I don't think a lot of them can obviously play in that game. But that should be a good one, because Langley are very much up for it. But I got a chance to see 2 potentially exciting VFC signings on Friday night. Vitor Lucas de Araujo, Brazilian winger, looks very tasty. Lots of pace and got a couple of goals, so he looks like a good addition. And I got to see Luis Masset from the English Premier to the BC Premier. Scored, injured himself potentially scoring, seemed to grab his hamstring right away and got subbed off. I think he still needs a little bit to get into game shape, I think is my polite way of saying that. But he looked lively, but not somebody that I would have looked at and said, oh, he must have played in the Premier League.
I can't remember if I said this on the show a week or 2 ago or whatever, just you and I talking, but to me, it's kind of a low risk signing with potential high reward. I think that if he isn't able to actually get into game shape where he's usable in the center forward role, that he is the type of player that or he won't, like, if that happens, if he's not able to get fit and he's gone, I think he'll be gone, and it will be like, okay, we tried something, there was potential there, and it didn't work out. If they can get him fit and in shape and unlock his potential, the reward could be like huge.
Yeah, and now, seriously, like Lucas de Araujo looks so good. Now I know it's BCPL, but he looks exactly the kind of player that Vancouver's needing right now.
Yeah,
only bode well. I
didn't get out to see him play, but yeah, they need goals, and yeah, hopefully he can be a part of filling the net for him. But yeah, I think the next game, like you said, is the Voyageurs Cup.
May 10th, yeah, Vancouver Langley, get out there. It should be an absolute cracker.
A great way to spend Mother's Day.
Yeah, and it's the 100th anniversary year of Langley United as well, so it's going to be a big special occasion. Hopefully the stands will be packed for that one. We'll certainly be there, looking forward to it. But that's it for the CPL and the BCPL chat for this episode. One more part to come. We're going to talk World Cup, some little tidbits that's come out this week, and we'll be back with that after this episode's song from Enemies, C86 cassette.
I am Tommy Wilden Jr., and you are listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
And you can dance.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio, 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, it's this episode's song from NME's iconic and groundbreaking C86 cassette, we're paying tribute to the 40th anniversary of that influential release. It was released in May 1986, a 22-track cassette, available by mail order only, later released as a CD as well. And that was track 17 from it, from Glasgow band Mackenzies, with their song Big Jim, There's No Pubs in Heaven. A very different sound from most of the other songs on the cassette. Not all, but certainly most. Didn't have that jangly guitar sound. It was very much a kind of jagged indie rock funk sound. The band only released 2 singles overall, one of them in 1986, one of them in 1987. Never got round to releasing an album due to a series of unfortunate events, many of which documented in Nige Tassel's excellent book on the cassette and the era, Whatever Happened to the C86 Kids. Highly recommend getting hold of that if you've enjoyed the music and want to know more about the bands. And the band that we're going to feature next week from track 18 did have a very similar sound to Mackenzies, and Mackenzies actually went out on tour with the next band as well. Who will they be? Find out in the next show. So the song we heard there, Zach, Big Jim, There's No Pubs in Heaven, that brings us to this week's theological question that we'll discuss in this part. Do you think that there will be pubs in heaven? And for that, we will turn to AFTN's theological expert, Pastor Zach.
Do you want me to answer this?
Yes.
I think one of the potential issues with discussions about the afterlife or eternity, or if we want to use the language of heaven, is often, I think, we tend to look at it as we do most things in a very myopic way, in a very us-focused way, and it can tend to turn into like a hopeful, what do I want this to be? When if you're looking at it from a biblical theological perspective, it's not about what are your wishes and dreams and what do you hope it will be. When I think about what the Bible talks about when it talks about heaven, it's about spending eternity with the one who created you, created us, and the opportunity to worship him and give glory to him. And I know this is probably, you might feel free to edit any of this out that you want.
I've probably lost a lot of viewers now.
Yeah.
Well, listeners.
But no, so.
No,
will there be public
genuinely
houses?
Asked you the question.
No, but will there be public houses in heaven? The simple answer is, and I think sometimes theologically we don't always use this answer, even though it's probably important at the appropriate times too. But I don't know is the first thing to say. But in the sense of, will there be places of public gathering, again, whether it's the focus on that primary purpose of what I believe heaven to be about, where people will come together and share what's going on or whatever, that kind of stuff. I guess in one sense I would hope so. If you're talking in terms of, will it be like my local pub, here in this community that I live in British Columbia or wherever around the world? Yeah, I don't know so much if that's what it would be like.
Who would have thought a song from a 1986 cassette would have sparked such discussions? But next week on the show, we'll delve into Toronto singer-songwriter Lolo's song, There's No Hot Girls in Hell.
Oh my God.
That's an excellent song. Moving back to the football chat, while we still have some listeners left, we're going to talk World Cup to round off the show. Let's start with some Canadian men's national team chat, injury talk. We touched on Ralph Priso in the first part, crossing everything that he can make that roster for June. But there's a new injury worry now, because Tigres confirmed this weekend that the newly Canadian anointed winger Marcelo Flores has suffered a myofascial tear in his left leg. It's going to be assessed in the coming days. Depending on whether it's a grade 1, 2 or 3 tear, recovery could be anything from 7 to 14 days to up to 6 weeks or more. And considering he's just come into the mix, he impressed in this recent window. It's just another huge blow for Jesse Marsch.
Yeah, these injuries as they compound or just become more and more both equal measure sad and frustrating and angering, right?
We knew there'd be heartbreak when the squad was announced. Players would miss out. But if you're missing out if it's this close to it and an injury makes you miss out, it's even more heartbreaking.
I can't think back to 1986, but I can think back to 2022 and was not the only person, and I think it was partly related to injury, was the only person who kind of was in a situation like a number of these players are. Was it Danielle Henry? Was he the only one? It's not even going to be Oshram. And then they brought him, right? They made him like a...
Yeah.
They made
genuinely can't remember.
Anyways.
But that would maybe explain why Joe Waterman got in.
Yes. Oh, sorry. There's another one. There was the other one. And I remember this well. I've talked about this on the show before, actually. Scott Kennedy, a center back who was playing in, I think, the second Bundesliga at the time. Really great pace for a center back. His career, actually, I think I can't even remember where he is now. He went to Klagenfurt in the Österreich Bundesliga. And I don't know what's happened since then. But anyways, he totally missed out because his parents were at the World Cup. Like, he was supposed to be there. That he might have actually been the reason Waterman got in.
Oh, okay.
I think that was the actual case. But so you
right
go from,
now, there's a few that are really on the bubble.
Yeah, you go from 1 to 2, and I feel like with this squad, it feels like there's at least half a dozen guys who are going to or might miss because of these significant injuries, and again, another short list of guys where you feel like, you want them to be wrapped up in bubble wrap until June or May or whatever.
Well, that's the thing. It's like there's still 6 weeks of football to be played at the busiest business end of the season when teams are battling for everything. Like over in Scotland, crazy weekend of action. Hearts are still top of the pile, but neither Derek Cornelius at Rangers or Alistair Johnson at Celtic were in the game day squads for either side. Johnson might make it in. Cornelius, there's no way he's going to get in that. There's only 5 games left for the teams to play anyway, so it's hard to think that they're going to get any more competitive action, but then you're expecting them to go into a World Cup at their top levels. The Canadian national team have sent a team physio to France this week to work with Nice to try and get Moise Bombito fit for the World Cup. And that's great, but then you're looking at Bombito, Cornelius, Johnson, 3 of your, what many people would have as your starting back 4, not up to full competitive match fitness. You can't risk all 3 of those together, I don't think.
No, absolutely not. And that's where, like, I can't remember where I heard this or saw this discussion, or if I can't remember if it was actually from the mouth of Jesse Marsch or where it was from, but this whole discussion of like, okay, are they going to, if the roster is 26, are they going to have, like, is the 27 spots saved for player X? Like, save for the one example, the one I'm closest to my heart probably, is will they save it for Promise David? Just in case he's ready, he can come, he can be with the team and maybe at the end of the group stage, come on and make a difference in the game against Switzerland and help see them into the spot they want in the knockout stage. It feels like there's just a massive, a far too big list of players that are kind of in that situation. You mentioned those 3 there from the back line. That's huge. Eustachio, when's he going to be? I mean, the
thing with Eustachio, he runs into Drew Fisher, fellow Canadian.
Come on.
And you think,
did you just not get like announced for the World Cup or something?
Yeah, Drew's the only Canadian official.
Yeah.
Tim Ford didn't make it. I was checking that.
Shocking.
I genuinely was checking it because he was on the VAR officials, but he hasn't made it, thankfully. I don't want him at a Scotland game. No, like Eustachio, it seemed nothing. Oh, he might miss a couple of weeks, and he's still not back.
Yeah.
And that's now starts to get concerning as well. We've got Schaffelberg that has returned. Fonzie's recovery, at least, is slowly coming on. Came on as a sub this weekend for Bayern in the 59th minute. So they're extending his time a little bit. But yeah, a lot of concern there. And it is like every week it feels like something's happening. And you can't wrap them in cotton wool, but you want to.
Yeah. I mean, with Alfonso, it's a big week, right?
Oh, yeah.
He comes on this game to get ready. And in part, some people think he played these, 31 minutes or whatever. Well, yeah, 31 minutes. Because they maybe want to start him against Real Madrid, right? Because they want his pace to, counter Mbappe and Vinicius Jr., who obviously are two of the fastest attackers in the game.
You don't want him to break down again.
Exactly.
Another breakdown, and that's it. You would think that he's not going to make the World Cup, but
except for when it comes to Alfonso, as you highlighted earlier in the show, I think he is a player that they would hold out till the 11th hour.
Yeah, he's the face of the team.
Yeah,
like him and Jonathan David, you feel are the two guys that if anything happened to any of them, they'd have a place. If there's any way they could make a game, they'd be in that squad.
They're probably Davies. I think I did hear this not that long ago. But they're probably the top two when it comes to names on the back of Canadian jerseys.
Mm-hmm. The two highest, spoke about Fonzie in the A to Z, he's valued at 45 million and Jonathan David's valued at 35 million. They're the two most expensive Canadian players.
And that's low for Fonzie. He's been up to 70 or 80 in the past.
Yeah, it's transfer market. I think they just make it up anyway as they go along. So.
Oh, easy there, Tiger.
I do. It's all BS.
Do you own a Alfonso Davies kit?
I do not own any Canadian kit.
Well, Fonzie's played for other teams.
Oh, yeah, I don't own any Fonzie kit at all.
All right.
Talking of kits, that's a nice segue to the next point, because, of course, people are going to be wearing the Nike Canadian jerseys, red, white, black, with special 1980s dynasty-style shoulder pads by the looks of it. Did you see that?
No, I only saw it because you sent it to me.
So I'd heard about it on the famous Slope and Pitch podcast that I listened to. They were talking about that. That was the first of me hearing about it. And then I went and read about it. So the Nike kits, people have been complaining that the shoulders are bunching up.
Yeah.
And then people are taking pictures of them.
Before you send me this link, for the last couple of weeks, I've seen in the Canadian sphere, people talking about it, saying the shoulders are weird or something. Yeah. There's something wrong with the fit. I don't really like it. I think I saw one dude post saying, hey, I bought it, or I went to the store, I was going to buy it. I tried them both on. I'm not buying these. I don't like how they fit me. And I thought, maybe this is a particular individual who really, doesn't want to wear something that they don't like how it feels or looks or whatever. But then you saw multiple people saying this. And then when you sent me this link, I was like, wow.
Well, at first they denied there was anything wrong with it, but now they're saying, there's been a manufacturing error. But they're not recalling any of the jerseys. They're not reducing the prices. No one's getting money back. And it's like, I'm definitely not buying this now. Or if I do, it's going to be a cheap knockoff that ironically might actually be better.
Well, I'm an Adidas
yes,
man.
And thankfully Scotland's got that. So if I get the Scotland kit, it's good.
But it is sad that this is the last World Cup and last year that the DFB will be wearing Adidas kits, and they're switching because of the money, which I understand they're making a huge investment in German football, but they're switching to Nike. And this is another example of why I'm not happy about that.
Like you look around all the different kit manufacturers. Like I liked Macron in the CPA.
Yeah, I mean, aside from the fact that they were the sizing is for Italian runway models. Aside from that,
yeah,
I love it.
If you think that's bad, you should try the Kappa jerseys. If you've never tried a Kappa jersey,
I have that original. Was it Euro 2000 Italian jersey that they made to be form fitting so that the referees could see when someone was pulling your jersey? I have one of those, but you'll never see.
Is that like a bikini on you now? Going back to what we were talking about in the last part, Langley United, I don't think you maybe have seen Langley United's kits. They've got Admiral, and it's the old-fashioned Admiral with the stripes down the front on either side. It just brings back so many memories to me. I love it. But I just think this is so disappointing. It's a World Cup. It's a home World Cup. You've got all these jerseys and they're going to look so bad.
Awkward, yeah.
Yeah. The trophy tour hit Vancouver this week, and it's going to be going on a trip across the country as well to lots of places across Canada. So get out and see it if you can. I didn't get out to see it. I had a ticket to go and see it on Friday, but then was doing the commentary and I had my doctor's physical appointment as well, so I couldn't make everything work, unfortunately. But more tickets were released for the World Cup games here in Vancouver.
People must be thrilled.
Front row tickets.
This is crazy.
Category 1.
This is crazy. How are these tickets still available?
Some folk think they might have been hospitality tickets that have now been released.
Right. Okay.
I think it was all deliberate, and they're drip feeding it. And it's like, I know you've bought your Category 1, but look, we've got better Category 1. Although front row at BC Place isn't necessarily that good a view.
Depends on where you are, yeah.
Yeah. The $980, which is a bargain compared with what some of the resale tickets are anyway. So they've been getting snapped up, and some of the games like that have been sold out, but there are still some available. If you really, really want to be there and don't want to miss out and just want to even go to one game and you can afford $980, you can go into the ticket app now and you can get a ticket, even for Canada's games. Not the Swiss game, but you can get it for the Qatar game. And Canada-Bosnia in Toronto is available as well.
Wow. For front row?
Yep.
Wow.
$980.
I'm happy with my last row.
Yes. I've seen so many folk. We talked about this on the show last week, and there's more folk, not because of our show, just in general, have been seeing their tickets now and where they're allocated, and sections have moved in the stadium.
Yes, I've heard this.
And folk are like, what? This isn't what I signed up for. And this was always going to be the problem when you were just buying a category and you couldn't see where your seat was until later.
Yeah. But yeah, it's got to increase or potentially decrease on the resale market, right? Now that you know it's not, I'm just selling category 2. It's category 2, block, whatever. Yeah. Seat row, this, seat that. I
talked about like AEW at the start. So they had dynamic pricing for the pay-per-view tonight here. And when I first went in to check it, the floor tickets were like $960. And today they were like 120 and stuff. And it's like dynamic pricing is just so wrong. But there were still people an hour before the show started that were hoping to get $1,700 for tickets for it.
That's crazy.
And
those must be scalpers, right?
Yeah. And I'm thinking, for the World Cup, will folk drop the prices, or will they just be like, no, I'm leaving it at this, and if I don't sell it, I don't sell it. Or I'll go myself or whatever.
There's got to be some of that.
I mean, the way that I've seen the prices drop for this, I would say to everyone that still hopes to go, bide your time. There will be cheap tickets come out, and there's going to be more released as well.
Yeah, more, but how many? I mean, it's the whole FOMO of it all, right? Like it's very, 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 very awkward.
Last thing on the World Cup, I'll tease this. We're going to do this in May. So from May, maybe even into June, every show we're going to have an interview with either a Whitecap that is going to be at the World Cup or an MLS player that is going to be at the World Cup on a team that is going to be in Vancouver. So we've already got 2 interviews done. We've got a third one that we're doing this week, and we've got a couple of other ones in the works as well. So I'm very excited by the chats that we've had. So watch out for that from May. That will be where we really kick off our World Cup coverage. But that is it for the World Cup chat for this show. Pretty much it for this show. We'll finish though with Wavelength, which has also got a World Cup theme until after the tournament. Sadly, not bringing you the new Bell and Sebastian Scotland song because it hasn't officially been released yet, and it's just a live version. But as soon as that is out, that is coming on the show. It's superb.
I saw Bell and Sebastian in Vancouver once, years and years and years ago.
I've seen them here, I think, as well, a few times in Scotland.
I think I saw
them twice here.
I saw them at the Orpheum with like a small orchestra.
Yes, I think I was at that one as well.
Yeah.
It's a really good song. For this week's show, though, We're moving away from the Scottish songs for now, and we're going to bring you one about England. And it was from 1982 by Norwich band Serious Drinking. We've featured them on the show in Wavelength a couple of times. Love on the Terraces, Bobby Moore Was Innocent. And this is a song that they brought out ahead of España 82, very confident that England would come home with the World Cup once again. Spoilers, they did not. This is Serious Drinking, Spirit of 66. Norwich band, Serious Drinking there, Spirit of 66. You can find that and a great compilation of many of their songs on The Revolution Starts at Closing Time, a fantastic double album that came out in 2011. Really should feature them as Artists of the Month, 1 month with their non-football songs. But one of the things I love about football songs, especially ahead of World Cups, ahead of Euros, ahead of Cup finals, it's just the optimism. Everyone thinks their team's going to do well. Everyone thinks they're going to win it, come home with the trophy. And we know that is very seldom the case. But hey, someone has to win it. We'll be back with another World Cup Wavelength in the next episode of the show. But that is it for this one. Before we go though, Zach, any final thoughts from you? You've managed to stay awake and it's 1:48, so I'm very impressed.
Yeah, it's been a long weekend. I'm exhausted, and tomorrow's a big day.
I'm doing nothing tomorrow except editing the podcast, so I should probably let you get to bed.
No.
Quickly wrap this one up.
I have one thing for my wrap up. I got a comment from our buddy Chad Rempel, Chadsky. And it was just through our conversation. I'm sure other people maybe have made this comment on social media somewhere, but I haven't seen it. But maybe you have, Michael. We were talking about Miami and their new stadium, and it's got the sponsor, right? That NU company.
Yeah,
NU. Yeah, he said, Chad sent me these questions. Listening to your previous podcast, I just realized Miami missed the chance to name their stadium the New Camp.
Oh,
I'm sure the sponsor had something to do with that.
Yeah.
That would be pretty funny.
The fact there's a Leo Messi stand already, I think, is ridiculous.
Yeah, that is. But I bring that up by way to say thank you to everyone who listens to the show, and both whether you comment on, online on the socials or whatever, or you get in touch, email Michael or send us messages or whatever. Thank you to everyone who listens, and it's really fun to be a part of this community and keep supporting football in our country, and especially locally here in British Columbia in the Lower Mainland. Lots of football happening. Whitecaps are playing this coming Friday at BC Place, and there's the BC Premier League. Have I got it right?
BC Premier League
BC
and
Premier
the BC
League.
Provincial Cup is on at the moment as well. It kicked off this weekend.
And the following weekend, of course, the Vancouver Rise get their NSL title defense underway. So lots going on when it comes to football. So get out and be a part of it.
Support local soccer. A great way to end. We'll be back with another show soon. Until then, as always, thanks for listening. Take care and Mon the Caps.
Going to your first match is an experience you never forget. The atmosphere of what's going on around the pitch looks beautiful, and you always look and go, wow, I'd love to play here one day. If you get the bug, it's going to stay with you for life.
10 minutes left, yeah, but there's still some time. It's not the final score. We need more than the numbers we're given. Show us you live and breathe the game. You're more than a name. That's what we came for. We can bring you more than the score. Every story. Let's take this thing off of the field into the real world, away from the numbers, away from the numbers.